how the world would change if you do like the intervention in general. What would have happened had it hadn't done? Difficult to know. Now there are kind of, I think, like different.
The Dishina County Initiative is set to change lives, promote nutrition, and will keep students in school.
Our children are missing a third of their education. Their parents are stressed. Uchumi ni ngumu. Hiyo stress ya kufikiria mtoto atakula nini nimeitoa sasa kwa wazazi. From the 28th of August, every day, all children in public primary schools in Nairobi will get a hot meal at lunchtime.
In June, the governor and the president commissioned 10 central kitchens across the county that will be operationalized in time for the children to get a nutritious meal by the third term.
And I'd like to thank the governor of Nairobi. I met him a couple of years ago when he was senator, and he promised that when he became governor, he would implement a school feeding program for all children in Nairobi. And today is that day.
We are doing 10 kitchens in 10 weeks. This is the only project I have sat with contractors. Nikwambia hii msieke mchezo. And they have understood they're not just building a building. They're giving our children dignity and a hope for the future.
Nashukuru sana kwa hii kazi tumepewa. Tulikuwa katika hali mahututi, kuko na njaa, tulikuwa na kiangazi, lakini tumeshukuru sababu gavana wetu Sakaja tumepata kazi na hawapagui wa mama ama wana baba, tunapewa kazi kighafla.
Kwanza ngumembwekze kwa gavana wetu Sakajare. Hii shughuli tumeletwa na gavana wetu ni Dishina County. Hiyo promise yake imefika. Si mabundo tunapiga hii shughuli. Ma youth.
We are co-workers with God in feeding the future, and so in every meal that we feed, we're directly inputting in the future of our country. So thank you so much for your support.
What are the things that we should be doing as a civilization? We're not then try to support. That's how I ended up being strongly attracted to potential risk, specifically extinction risk from AI. Because if you think about it, the most like almost all the other cube that humans will be around 100 years from now, and we're going to remain in control and can kind of like plan our actions, can continue having impact rather than having some superhuman AI yanking out of our hands. Now, I can hesitate currently to give any kind of concrete suggestions when it comes to existential risk plan, because I am in a bit of a like a fork in the road right now myself. Because like looking back to the last decade, I've been mostly supporting existential risk research, kind of like AI safety, AI alignment research. And unfortunately, just we haven't had, compared to like how close we might be getting to like serious or risky period of acute risk for this in AI, we just know how to do AI safely. And the research I have supported over the last 10 years, it has delivered some insights which have been valuable, but it's like nowhere near nowhere near the point where we could feel safe. So I'm currently mostly pivoting myself to supporting regulative initiatives and installing some kind of slowdown mechanism in order to purchase time, both for humanity, but more importantly, AI alignment, research and effort. And there again, we're talking about like regulative initiatives and installing some kind of slowdown mechanisms in order to purchase time both for humanity, but more importantly, AI alignment, research and efforts. And there again, like we're talking about kind of speculative philanthropy, which it's very plausible that it will actually not yield results that or I hope, but it's like the thing that I currently kind of, it feels the right thing to do from the first principles.
Jan,
And
thank you.
so that's another kind of a topic that I would cover if I had time, which is like the way
I'm stepping in at
I
this
use like
point.
software
But Jan, can you
assisted.
hear me? This is Theo. Perhaps you can bring that into the comments when we're having the panel.
Yep.
But thank
Let's
you
do
very,
that.
very
Thank you.
much. And thank you for opening up this panel. And we'll be coming back to you in a moment. And now our next speaker, and I'd like to welcome up to the stage, Chai Suri. She's the founder and coordinator of the Movement for Indigenous Youth of Rondonia, and she's an amazing activist and an amazing bridge. Chai, please.
I can speak. Okay. My speech. Okay. Good morning. I would like to start saluting all the original peoples from here, from Africa, saluting our ancestors, and say that I'm very happy to be here with you today. And to start, I Igatika Kanaonga 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 Umamaleika Igatika Kanaonga. I start with this song to invite all you to be open in this morning and to invite our ancestors to be here with us today. And I come from Amazon, Brazilian Amazon, from 7 de Setembro indigenous land in the Rondônia state. And I'm a young indigenous leader from the Paité Surui people. And to me, to my people, I learned that the future is ancestral. Because if the future is not ancestral, they are not, you know, we don't have future. Because my father, my people, they teaching me that we are the nature. And that's it that I want to bring to you in this morning. That remember that we are part of this planet. We are connected with this planet. We are not living here. We are not here only to explore this planet, but this planet is our Mother Earth. We, the indigenous peoples, we are suffering the consequence of the climate emergency. In my land, is more hot than ever. And the raining doesn't come when it should. So we need to, for example, now we should planting in this month. But because it's so hot, now we need planting the next month. I don't know if you know, but river in the world is experiencing the biggest drought in the history. 1,000 dolphins dying in the fishing, and all in our rivers, they are dying right now. And this is affecting our lives in our territories. This is affecting our food security. This is affecting our spirituality, and all the things in our day, in our life. And although we have a new government with a different vision in Brazil about the climate change, about the forest, we continue receiving death threats. We continue need to protect our lands against the invaders, against the illegal miners, against the loggers, and against the people that want our lands. Although there are things that you need all us. The Mother Earth doesn't differentiate us. We are all living in the same earth. We are all living in the same Mother Earth. And this means what? Okay, today we, the indigenous peoples, we are suffering the consequence, this crisis. But all the world and all the people will be affected as well. So we need to be together. We need to be understand that if you want climate just, we need support, and we need to put the people in the center. Because I'm not here and the people say to me, please, don't be so depressive. I'm trying. But, you know, although all these things that's happening in our land right now, there are something that's happening there. The transformation, the revolution, the real changing is happening right now in our territories. We, the indigenous peoples, we are 5% of the world population, and we protect 80% the all biodiversity. And if the Amazon is the biggest forest with the biggest biodiversity in the world, is because us. It's because the indigenous people. Because we planting, we are protecting, we understand that is not only our home, but is who we are. And we are doing, so I'm here to, for example, my people, we are doing the reforestation since on science. I'm sorry, I'm learning English. So since, I don't know if it's since 2012. Because, thank you. Because since this time, we understand that we need not only protect the forest, but we need to give back what we take off. We are, all the things that we are seeing today, the indigenous peoples are saying a long time ago. But the white people never listened to us. But now they are feeling this. So I'm here to say this, that we need reconnection with this land. Because the forest not only support life, but the knowledge burn there. So the forest to me, to my people, is inspiration, is memory, is knowledge, is the history, ancestral history, is the real fortune that we love. We love the forest. Because, because we are putting in practice the solution to postpone the end of the world. We, the United Nations, say that we are the best guardians of the forest. We are the guardian of the life. So I believe in the strength, in the power of our voice, our songs, our prayers, our fights, our ancestors. I believe in the forest. And we can stop to believe in them, but we cannot never stop believing in ourselves. So I'm here today to ask you to dream with me, with my people, with the indigenous peoples of Brazil, because the dream is very important to us. And I want to share this dream with you. So we need to stop to look this place with a colonized eyes. We need to start real listening what these people we want to teach. We want to say our knowledge. We want to bring this. We know we are not an enemy. So we need listening the forest. We need to understand that the trees, they have soul. The rivers, they are alive and they continue in our bodies. It's because that when they put the mercury, when they put the poison in the rivers, we are sick as well. So we need listen who understand that we are nature. And we are our nature. We need to remember that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Chai, and for that really important reminder. We can't transform if we don't dream. And so I'd like to welcome our next speaker onto the stage. Please welcome Indy Johar, who's the founding director of Architecture 00 and was awarded the London Design Medal for Innovation. And most importantly for today's session is the co-founder of the Dark Matter Labs. Indy.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm absolutely honored and delighted to be here, and thank you very much for your speech, which I think was absolutely critical for us to hear. I think Benjamin's introduction was really important. I don't think we fully understand the scale of what we're facing. So I'm going to use a few minutes to describe the scale of it. What we're experiencing in the Amazon is only the beginning, unfortunately. Currently, in terms of global where we're facing, our current policy landscape drives us to at least 3 degrees of global warming. 3 degrees, at least. 3 degrees average means 5 degrees on land. 5 degrees on land means 8 degrees in our cities. 3 degrees means 5 degrees on land. 5 degrees means 8 degrees in our urban environments. At 1.7 to 1.9 degrees, we are already at 1.1 to 1.2. 1.7 to 1.9 degrees, we will lose one of the major food baskets in the world. It'll be gone. So there are 5 major food baskets. Ukraine was a beginning of a geopolitical crisis, but actually what we're not seeing is that this is a pathway to multiple crises. So by 2070, we will lose the glaciers in the Alps. That means we lose predictable river systems in Europe. That means you lose the farming capacity of predictable river systems. Right? I'm just talking about Europe because that's what I know. I can talk about the Himalayas and losing the Himalayan water glacier systems and what that does. That involves billions of people in the world. And then we can all talk about hope, because we can say, look, we're doing great work on renewable energy. Okay. 2019 to 2020, global energy demand, increase in energy demand, was greater than all the installed renewables in the world. The increase in demand. So all our renewables are doing is replacing the increase in demand. I say this all because I don't think this is a marginal transformation of our lives. A world is dying in front of us, literally, and maybe it is the right time for it to die. For a new world, an old world which rhymes with an old world, to be born. And I want us to think about this very carefully, because it means the lives that we have all been used to become unviable. How many here people are vegan? 1, 2, 3, 4. Most of you people wearing suits, not living indigenous lives, wearing nice clothes, we should all be vegan. And I'm serious about this. Look at the numbers yourself. It's not a moral cascade. Look at the numbers of cattle impacts in places like the Amazon. Every time you eat beef, remember that. You are actively destroying what this lady has been talking about. You are part of the problem. We are part of the problem. We make fun of people like Trump because we say, doesn't talk about the world. We are all Trump-like because we all know the facts, yet we don't make the changes in our lives. So I think it's really critical to understand both the scale of what we're facing and the everyday veracity of what we're facing. This will change the world around us. Our lives will change. The S&P 100, which is an index of financial organizations in the US, if you were to price in social and environmental goods, 70% of the S&P 100 is not viable. Not viable. So the businesses that we make and the industries that we have are not cognizant with life to exist in the planet in the way that we want and the way we need. 68%. This shirt, it's not an expensive shirt. It's a 35 pound shirt. However, if I was to price true social environmental costs on this shirt, it's a 250 to 450 pound shirt. I say this because if you want to value what this young lady has been saying, that is what it means. This is what it means. It's a 450 pound shirt. Because then it means I cannot consume the way I consume. I cannot live the way I live. And if I choose to live the way I live, I can almost certainly assure you we're moving towards a path of mutually assured destruction. Mutually assured destruction. There is no pathway the global north survives with the global south does not. There is no pathway now. You can talk to the military strategists if you want, but there is no pathway. We have to drive a path to mutually assured thriving. Now, why I say all this is because as philanthropy, what I want to encourage you to do is no longer start to just fix the symptoms, but to start to looking at the root issues around our world. And the root issues go much deeper than we think. They go to the idea of property. What is property? Right? Property means I enslave something, I objectify it, turn it into an object, right? I disentangle it from the rest of the world, turn it into an object, then I enslave it to my personal needs. And then I take extraction rights, property rights, not property responsibilities. Who's ever heard of the word property responsibilities? It's property rights. My right. That theory of how we constructed the world has externalized everything. CO2 levels, everything else, microtoxins in our world that are self-terminating us. What does it mean in our theory of contract, which has constructed the world? What does it mean in the way we make money, monetary production, sedentary monetary production, which actually creates future claims on ecological systems that no longer can provide us? What does it mean to do human development in a radical way to unlock the mental capacity of all of humanity? In the face of AI, AI could be a liberator of human capacity to unlock our embodied knowledge, to unlock our embodied intelligence in radical ways. This is a 1 in a 400-year transformation or a 1 in a 2,000-year transformation. It's a transformation of an enlightenment worldview which is coming to an end to an entangled worldview which is manifesting. You can call it indigenous, you can call it quantum. These both realities are coming together to create a fundamentally different worldview and a different pathway forward. So the role of philanthropy in this future is to recast and reimagine at the deep code levels of a society what a new society looks like. It is no longer sufficient to copy 19th century's ideas of democracy, 19th century ideas of parliaments which no longer function even in the West. Let us radically imagine the future. Let us radically imagine a future where 8.2 billion people can thrive and unlock our full capacity. And you need to go deep for that. It's no longer sufficient to look at the symptoms. With that, I thank you.
Thank you indeed. Again. And our last speaker on the panel this morning, I'd like to welcome Rena Kawasaki, a Kids' Right Awards winner, and I have to say this because I love the title, the former Chief Future Officer for Uganda. She's currently the director and founder of the Earth Guardians Japan. Rena.
Hi everyone, good morning. I would like to start with a simple question. What do you think of when you think of the word youth? Some people may think of your children or a school setting or maybe a classroom. Maybe you think of us Generation Z in association with words like activists, social media, with a healthy amount of rebellion sprinkled on top. None of these associations are wrong in any sense. However, I believe that there is an issue in believing youth can only be one of these things. That youth only have value when they fit in these boxes. The ones who society counts on to restrain against order, to change the way things are for a better future, when in reality, intergenerational partnerships and multi-sectoral participation are key for any solution. Youth are not just activists. We are entrepreneurs, scientists, artists, and negotiators. I know this firsthand from the opportunities generously given to me to partner with 3 key sectors: corporation, government, and nonprofit. These opportunities taught me 3 key points in sustainable youth participation. And today, I'm going to propose that the diversification of youth participation can be made possible by these 3 key points. And this might be the solution to the poly crisis. Starting with corporation partnership. So in 2020, September 24th, I was sitting in possibly one of the most important Zoom calls of my life, where the CEO of Euglena, a biotechnology company in my home country, Japan, named me their CFO, not financial, but future officer at the age of 15. From 2019, Euglena had decided to undergo a nationwide search for a new executive board member, a chief future officer who monitors the company's sustainable policies and implement future-oriented programs. The search was under one condition. The individual they selected had to be under the age of 18. Now you might be wondering, why would a biotechnology company in Japan need a 15-year-old on their board? Don't they have enough professionals already? To Euglena, the answer was very simple. They are a company that uses technology to ensure a better future, not including the members of the future, the youth, in their discussions did not make sense to them. Now this could have been a classic case of what I would like to call youth washing. When corporations or organizations unfortunately only include youth in short-term projects or unpaid internships like workshops or one-day events, in contrast to longer, more painstaking processes such as policy reform. However, with the CFO program, Euglena was able to listen and be open with us on the struggles they had as a startup corporation to us, the youth, and make significant risks to implement policies such as the elimination of all plastic wrappings from their products, the employment of a new onboarding program to allow even the youngest employees to voice their opinions, and a complete update of all of the business objectives set forth in our articles of incorporation to reflect the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. This leads us to key point number 1, the importance of mutual benefit to both youth and corporations when they are in partnership. Although I'm not going to argue that Euglena's CFO program is the perfect example of youth participation in corporate governance, it certainly opened my eyes to the possibility that even I, a 15-year-old, could be respected and heard as a board member, as well as the sheer power of corporations to diversify youth inclusion and participation. This experience also made me realize the importance of the maintenance of a sustainable organization model in the face of implementations of solutions that require major change. While the incorporation of new outside youth voices are important and significant, the adult employees and members who are actually going to implement these voices have to feel safe and safe enough to voice their own opinions within the organization. This leads us to key point number 2, the maintenance of an open environment where anyone, regardless of age, feels safe to voice their opinions. And the opportunity of innovation and boundary breaking just does not fall on the shoulders of us youth. This was especially true with the government of the city of Nihama, where me and a team of 7 other students partnered with the government to find a way to solve the city's decline in youth citizen participation in major decision-making processes. We, the student team, proposed ideas from creating a local youth parliament to building a post box in the middle of the city square to collect youth opinions. However, after hundreds and hundreds of talks with city office staff and citizens, we realized that our ideas could not have been more cost prohibitive or labor intensive, and they were just not sustainable. Our ideas were valid, but not solutions to the city's issues. And we only realized this because the city staff members were patient and willing to create a working environment where both sides, the city and the youth, were comfortable to voice our opinions, and which unfortunately is not the case for many places worldwide. It was because of the city government staff that we felt they felt safe sharing their own ideas, that we were able to negotiate a more sustainable option without our ideas being a burden to the very city we were trying to help. In the end, we were able to implement a crowdsourcing program that garnered over 1,000 responses for youth in the first few prototype runs, while minimizing operation fees, teaching me the power of open and free intergenerational communication. Finally, key point number 3 is the importance of passing down of leadership. Due to these diverse partnerships with multi-sectoral stakeholders, I have the unique opportunity and standpoint of both being on the proposing side and the receiving end of proposals from youth, being the founder and co-director of the youth organization Earth Guardians Japan. Over the years, we have been supporting youth in Japan with mentorship and networking opportunities, as well as fostering a nationwide community of changemakers under the age of 18 in a society where youth are not expected to be leaders. We founded Earth Guardians Japan to be for youth the under age of 18. I actually turned 18 this year, and I started realizing the importance of letting go and passing the baton. And I'm preparing for the organization to be fully led by younger members next year. Who knew I would be grappling with the concept of retirement at age 18? But here we are. So organizations, corporations, or any other working body of people cannot be truly sustainable unless their inner workings and leaders are sustainable as well. Power should not be defined by how long one can hold on to it, but rather how effectively it can be passed on to the next generation. Another change that can ironically stabilize the future. Now, we have gathered here today to discuss the poly crisis, a variety of issues that culminate in an uncertain future. I propose that youth participation be supported by the key points that I put out today. Number 1, the diversification and lack of youth washing and youth inclusion. Number 2, the maintenance of an open working environment where both adults and youth who implement the proposals feel safe to voice their own opinions. Number 3, the effective passing down of power. These 3 key points is the retaliation against the uncertainty, and we are counting on every single one of you in this room to act immediately. Many different adults and their crazy ideas to allow a 15-year-old to have a chance have allowed me to stand here before you today. Please acknowledge and leverage the power that you all have to break boundaries and have these crazy ideas that will allow for a youth somewhere to finally be heard. I hope that in the future, when I ask the question, what do you think of when you think of the word youth, you can tell me of the diverse youth you were able to work after today. We have never been heard before. Imagine the power when the world listens. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks to all 4 of our panelists. Jan is in the system somewhere. We're now going to have a very short discussion because we've got slightly less time than we had anticipated. And so, with Jan listening as well, I'm going to jump straight into the other side of this morning's discussion. All of us, all four of you, have looked at existential challenges, and you've also looked at some of the issues around shared futures, shared responsibilities, shared actions. So I'd like to ask you to think and make some suggestions to the people in this room about the role of philanthropy in meeting some of these existential challenges. So, Chai, I think I'll start with you. What is the message that you would have to some of the people who are sitting in here who are part of institutional philanthropy, individual philanthropy, the whole of the advocacy world? What is the message about transformation that you want to give to them? What can they do? What should they do?
Oi. First, I just would like to do a comment about what my colleagues say. In my state, there are a land that called Urubuaiuauau Indigenous Land. There are more than 20,000 illegal cattle there. And this meat is going to French, the European countries, to USA. So, in these places is a secret place to us, is a cemetery. So, we need to really think about that, né? To stop support our genocide. But my message to you today, that we need support who are supporting life. We need to understand that in the indigenous land, in Brazil, if you go there, you will see that we have forced alive where the indigenous people are living. Because we are nature. We are protecting the rivers. In our territory, the rivers born. We need to remember that who the water come from, who the lives come from. But you, the philanthropy, can help us. You can be a guardian of the forest, a guardian of the Amazon as well. You can. But you need to understand that we know what's the best to our lands. But you need your help to take care of this place. We need all the world to understand that.
Thank you, Chai. Jan, if I can come to you, you've both been involved in looking at some of the existential challenges, and you are a philanthropist yourself and involved in philanthropy. Would you have an example of a philanthropic intervention that you think successfully addresses any of these challenges? And what would be your message to fellow philanthropists about actions they need to take to meet these existential challenges that we're talking about?
Thanks. I think it's kind of like hard for me to give very concrete examples because like I think the most successful examples that I have, they're like kind of like I mix my sort of giving my funds, but also my brand, right? So it's hard to like. I do think that kind of establishing and supporting Future of Life Institute has been like very successful in terms of impact, but it's like hard for me to disentangle the amount, how far my kind of donations have gone versus how much my kind of like involvement as a person has gone. When it comes to messages, yeah, it's kind of hard for me to give like any concrete messages. Perhaps like a less concrete and more abstract message is just like think about your assumptions. I think I claim that like this year we entered very uncharted waters. You can apply AI in decision making are very strict assumptions, which is you're assuming that the AI will end up narrow-based ability, not use. And I do think that they are moving targets forward. That's just an example of something everyone needs to use.
To change lives, promote nutrition, and will keep students in school.
Our children are missing a third of their education. Their parents are stressed. Uchumi ni ngumu. Hiyo stress ya kufikiria mtoto atakula nini nimeitoa sasa kwa wazazi. From the 28th of August, every day, all children in public primary schools in Nairobi will get a hot meal at lunchtime.
In June, the governor and the president commissioned 10 central kitchens across the county that will be operationalized in time for the children to get a nutritious meal by the third term.
And I'd like to thank the governor of Nairobi. I met him a couple of years ago when he was senator, and he promised that when he became governor, he would implement a school feeding program for all children in Nairobi. And today is that day.
We are doing 10 kitchens in 10 weeks. This is the only project I have sat with contractors. Nikwambia hii msiweke mchezo. And they have understood they are not just building a building.
Also, for the machines that interrupted that human panel. Let me request for the podium to be brought back onto the stage as I'm about to invite a very special guest. First of all, congratulations to all of you. We are trending, not just in Kenya, but globally, on the hashtag Wings Forum 2023. Your family know where you are, your colleagues know where you are, and if you Skyped work, you're in big trouble. Okay, we're doing very well globally. There was much in that panel, I think, in terms of personal responsibility. I am sure many of you declared and wrote down somewhere, I am never eating beef again. If you didn't, I would ask you to reconsider this. And it doesn't matter if Kenya has a sustainable production of beef. I think we can do more. There were also lots of ideas in terms of just public action. I mean, things that we could do that are both local and global in scope. And I think this gives us a real opportunity to think about our work in a broader context. Again, poly-opportunity, not so much poly-crisis. Allow me to very warmly welcome one of the youngest political representatives. I made a quip about Theo and veterans. I can't do the same thing about our next guest, except that he has been a politician for quite a while, but he started very young. He is accountable to the 5 million people of Nairobi and, of course, the country for about 30% of the gross domestic product in Kenya. He has the power to give you all keys to the city. So those of you who are Kenyans, you can park anywhere without having to go to that app. And by the way, Wahova doesn't do that either, right? Allow me to very warmly welcome the Governor of Nairobi, Arthur Johnson Sakaja. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Irungu, and you still have to pay for parking. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be in a room full of kind people, you know, for a change. It's not always what I experience. But I'm really pleased to be your host today and to stand in shared purpose with you, ready to change the world for good. And I'd like to tell you that you've come to the right place. Karibuni Kenya, Karibuni Nairobi. Welcome to Nairobi. You've come to the right place. First of all, this city, this magnificent city, is not just a center of innovation, education, finance, and logistics for the country, but it satisfies those functions for most of East and Central Africa, the center of our continent. If you want to make your mark on the continent, then Nairobi is a very fine place to start. But if you asked me, I'd say that some deeper reasons, actually 2 deeper reasons, why Nairobi is a very good choice, not just for this meeting and for your deliberations, but for longer term work in philanthropy. First, Kenya. I don't know how many Kenyans are in this room. Please lift your hand up. Let's clap for the Kenyans. So first of all, Kenya is a country that is built on Harambee, on pulling together for common good. It's a running theme throughout our history. From the schools, which were built only because communities which understood the value of education came together, to the stories which every family has of a brother, a sister, a cousin, whose education was paid for by the contributions of an extended family, a group of friends, and a village. There is a deep history of communal philanthropy in Kenya, and a deep understanding of the obligations that fall on those lucky enough, fortunate enough to be in a position to help. The second thing to notice is that history and culture of giving and philanthropy extends right into the present. The evidence is extensive. Some of you will remember a local newspaper reporting on research which found that Kenyans were amongst the most generous people, generous givers in Africa. Others will remember that virtually every self-respecting Kenyan corporation, company has a scholarship scheme or an environmental initiative or a gender initiative, so on and so forth. And sometimes these are very large. It is just part of who we are. And so you are in the right place. What began as a fairly informal set of cultural norms and habits has been formalized in some very interesting ways in the last few decades. There is a real philanthropy infrastructure and giving infrastructure here in Nairobi and in Kenya from which you can benefit. So that's 2 things that Nairobi gives you: access to a culture that is deeply invested in giving. It's a natural thing to do. It is who we are, and which already has institutions that are dedicated to it. And so you're connecting to existing institutions and infrastructure that support that. So it's a good place to grow your giving. I want, if I may, to mention one particular instance that has been very important to me and that has shown me the influence of the culture and the institutions that we have inherited. I grew up in this city. I was born and raised here in Nairobi. Irungu, I'm not the youngest governor. There are a few younger ones. Actually, only one younger one. But I grew up 3 kilometers from where we are today, born and raised in Nairobi. I got into leadership out of need, you know, to pay school fees. And I started out as a driver when I was 19. And I worked with 3 presidents now. But throughout that journey, I realized the power that leadership has to change lives, you know. And so as a member of parliament, I tried really hard to bring a program that would help young people in our informal settlements in the slums of Nairobi. I didn't have much success then as a member of parliament. As senator, I brought in legislation to try and really touch these lives. It passed the Senate. I was the senator of Nairobi before. It didn't go through the National Assembly. And I vowed, and I said in my campaign, when I was vying to be governor, and I'm now the governor of Nairobi, that we will feed our children. There are so many children who are not in school in Nairobi and in many of our urban areas because of hunger. Many interventions on food, on climate action, look at islands, look at deserts, arid areas, but forget urban poverty. So one of my main manifesto promises, because everyone understood in Nairobi, they got it, they understood that our children miss class because they're hungry and they can't pay attention, and that we have to provide a wholesome hot meal to these children. It sounded like one of those things politicians say, but I meant it, and I'm doing it now. We've built 10 kitchens. We built 10 kitchens in the last, I only got into office in August of last year. We've built 10 kitchens in different constituencies. So Nairobi has 17 constituencies. Nairobi has 5 million people. I'm directly elected by the people. We've built 10 green kitchens. I know climate action is an important part of what we're doing. 10 green kitchens that each produce 10,000 meals to 15,000 meals daily. One of the biggest ones produces 60,000 meals, the biggest kitchen in Africa, and I hope you can visit it during your time here. When you talk to these children, they wear this watch that I'm wearing every day. This Tap to Eat is an NFC device that every child in Nairobi now who goes to school, we have a record of whether they've eaten, whether there's consent. They're getting 650 grams of food at 4 US cents a day. 4 cents. Meaning, their parents who are not sure whether they'll get a gig today or not, or get a job today or not, they can rest easy. They know at least their children have a meal. These children don't finish their food. They eat half of what they get, or 3/4 of it, and they take it back home. But what are the outcomes? Enrollment has gone up 150% already in the last month that we've executed this program. And more than that, the children feel loved. They feel cared for. The discipline has gone up. They're now singing. They're now happy. They're now excited. I think there's value in doing good. And so, in as much as you've invited a politician in a room full of good people, I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for us to do. We've rolled out the first phase. 88,000 are eating. In the next 2 weeks, 180,000. And by January, 250,000 are going to be eating every single day. I think it presents us an opportunity to partner, just to change that life. Adopt 1 child, 10 children, support the program. It's just an example of what doing good is, and I'm encouraging you. I think in your different areas, in your different institutions, organizations, you're doing good. Doing good is beyond just numbers or statistics. It's about lives, human lives. And so beyond the tables and statistics and figures and percentages, see the faces, hear the laughs, hear the cries. I think there's a chance to be optimistic. And a lot of times, I was at the UN and I'm the vice chair of C40 Cities, which is a global coalition of cities around climate. I deputize the mayor of London, and we have another 100 mayors and governors across the world. And I've told them, our discussion on climate action cannot be a negative discussion. It's a positive opportunity. You're in Africa today. The median age is 19. Is that a threat or an opportunity? In as much as the median age is 19, Africa is a young continent. Of course, the median age of leaders is 63. But it's a chance to capture the imagination of a generation to change, to turn the tide, to change the narrative. There's no better place for you to have this discussion than in Nairobi and then in Kenya. In Nairobi and in Africa too, to meet, their dreams to realize and their legacies to be built. This is where your role, ladies and gentlemen, becomes invaluable. Your commitment to creating a more equitable, sustainable, and prosperous world is what has brought you here. And we welcome you with open arms. Whether in education, in healthcare, in conservation, in technology, in sports, in the creative arts, in culture, there's an opportunity that is awaiting your vision. For my part, if there's anything I've learned from my experience, my short experience, because I consider myself still young, it is this. Of course, not compared to CFO, Chief Future Officer. I really love that, and I'll try and engage the young people of Nairobi more, just like you're engaged. But first, and I hope these lessons will make sense to you as well. First, total clarity of vision. It's trite but true. You can't give well if you can't persuade. And you can't persuade if no one can see your vision. You need to make yourself perfectly clear. Number two, don't underestimate either need or generosity. There is real need, people in difficult situations on the continent, around the world, as I've explained. But there is also real generosity. If you have identified a genuine need, you will be genuinely surprised at the generosity it calls up. I was pleasantly surprised by the generosity of others who took up and understood our vision and what we were doing and have supported it. And every week I get calls. Here's €1 million. Here's $1 million. Here's $10. You'll be surprised what clarity will give you with your generosity. And you'll be genuinely surprised at the generosity that it calls up. Third, inclusion and equity above all. To give well, you need to dignify the recipient of your giving. Giving which fails to honor its receiver produces little more than resentment. Giving which honors its receiver produces not just gratitude but solidarity. A bond of community between benefactor and beneficiary. We can honor our beneficiaries by giving inclusively and equitably. We will want to make sure that as many as people who need our help get it, and to make sure that no one is denied our help who deserves it and can be reached. That would be my little advice from my experience. I'm sure you know more. You do it every day. But I know that you have to think about how to give, and so I won't preempt your discussions and take up, too much more of your time. On behalf of Nairobi, on behalf of Kenya, I thank you for choosing us. We begin today an important journey, one which we can hope will teach us how we can be of genuine and lasting service to humanity and to others. At moments like this, I'm reminded of a phrase in the Bible. I'm a Christian. Matthew 10, freely you have received, freely you must give. Our talents and achievements are not ours, but we have the power to choose what we do with them. Let's turn them to the service of others. Thank you all. Asanteni sana. Now, for those of you who are in Nairobi for the first time, let me tell you this. One, this is the only city, capital in the world where you have a national park where there are animals in the natural, unspoiled, untouched habitat, just like the Amazon. But in the skyline, you see the city. And so you can find the lions, you can find all the big four, just a few meters from here. Now, because of such beautiful guests, I approved that we can open up the park. And so in the evening, as you go to your hotels, if you come across a lion, if you come across
you know, any of these animals, just say hi. You're good. Yeah? You'll be safe. Just say jambo, say hi. You can pat them, but not too hard.